Militarily Speaking, episode 76, Excelsior University.
This episode, we talk with David Schejbal, president of Excelsior University.
Welcome to Militarily Speaking, brought to you by Armed Forces Bank. This is Tom McLean and Jodi Vickery. I'm the military retail executive for Armed Forces Bank, and Jodi, recently promoted, is the executive vice president director of, well, I got to change that now, chief digital officer.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
How about that, David? I'm sure you get promotions within your circle of influence, and she was recently promoted a couple months ago. So congrats to Jodi. And let's segue into my daughter's wedding, should we or not?
Why not?
So my daughter got married this past weekend in Tampa, which most of my family lives in Tampa, mom, sister, two daughters. And my both daughters went to Florida Gulf Coast University. My oldest daughter was a teacher, so that'd be near and dear to you, David, and social work to the other one. We won't talk about Jodi's family because it's not as exciting as mine.
Yes. Sorry, family.
But yeah, it was a great wedding. Just want to put a plug in for my daughter and my new son-in-law, Max.
Yes, it was a good wedding. And Tom paired you'll appreciate this at the end of this podcast, he paired his father of the bride speech down to 23 minutes. So, yeah.
But everything on Google said make it less than 5 minutes. But yeah.
Yes.
All right.
So I'm going to reel us back in since you're off topic already. Again, welcome to our show. We're excited to have you listening and learning about our guest, David Schejbal and Excelsior University. I do want to start, David. One, welcome. And two, I want to tell our audience just a little bit about you and maybe about the school as well. And then we'll just dive into all sorts of questions we've got for you today. David became president of Excelsior University in August of 2020. He is the fourth president since Excelsior's founding in 1971. Schejbal is a leading voice in adult and non-traditional higher education. And with his leadership, Excelsior remains student and mission focused. Throughout his career, his focus has been on making education accessible, affordable, and flexible for all students. He previously served as vice president and chief of digital learning at Marquette University. Prior to joining Marquette, he was dean of continuing education, outreach, and e-learning at the University of Wisconsin Extension, working across all 26 campuses of the system to extend the resources of the university to communities throughout the state. He's received many awards, including the Julius M. Nolte. Did I say that right?
Nolte, yes.
Nolte, yes.
Like
Nolte.
Nick
Nolte, yes. Yeah. But this is Julius M. Nolte Award for Extraordinary Leadership, which is the highest award given by the University Professional and Continuing Education Association. His affiliations with industry organizations include serving as a member of the governing board of the President's Forum, chair of the Board of Visitors of the Army War College, and the past president of UPCEA. Schejbal is a frequent keynote speaker, and his insights about reinventing higher education have appeared in such publications as Forbes, Evolution, Innovative Higher Education, and Inside Higher Ed. Well, welcome, David.
Well done, by the way.
Hearing all of that, it's an honor to have you on our show, where I'm excited to learn all about Excelsior University and you today. So tell us a little bit, if you would, just a little bit of big picture, macro background about Excelsior. Give us the lay of the land to start with.
Sure. So first of all, thank you for having me, and thank you for the very long and very gracious invitation. So Excelsior is an interesting place because it was created by the New York Board of Regents in 1971. And so it started out as a public institution. And then right at the end of the 90s, it transitioned into being a private nonprofit institution. And so it's gone through a couple of name changes. Initially, it was Regents College, then it became Excelsior College, and now, to better reflect our comprehensive curricular portfolio, we're Excelsior University. But our mission continues to be the same as it was when we started, which is to serve primarily adult and non-traditional students. And from the beginning, we had a close relationship with the military. When the state of New York created Regents College, our preceding name, it was 1971, and there were many returning GIs from Vietnam. And there was a sense in New York that the traditional higher ed schools weren't serving their needs as well as they should. And so the state created a separate institution for adults, as I said. And so from the beginning, we've been working closely with members of the military. And even today, more than 40% of our students are either active members of the military or veterans.
That's a great stat.
That's a good number. Yeah. So let's thank you for that, David. Let's talk specifically about military and veterans. So you were named probably on consecutive years, multiple years, Best for Vets in 2024, right, from the Military Times.
Yep.
You've provided 50 years of service, 72,000 military graduates. I'm stealing all your thunder, David, but 100% of military students turn military experience and training into degree credits, which I think is good for our audience to know that. And then you have more than 35 career-focused degree programs. And you can correct me on any of those numbers, David, but tell us, you mentioned a little bit about back to the 1971, the Vietnam days, but why are you focused on serving the military community? And maybe it's because of the flexibility and the pliability, if you will, of having your university through the online channel. But talk about why the emphasis is on military and veterans or even active duty.
Well, I mean, we have tremendous respect for our service members, and we believe that higher education is a critically important thing to provide to anyone. And we think that in general, higher ed has not done a particularly good job at serving the needs of military members. And when I say not a particularly good job, what I mean is that it's not as responsive and it's not as flexible as it should be. So, for example, we know that our active members very seldom live in the same place when they end their education as when they started, because they get deployed, they move, they get promoted, they essentially relocate across the country. And those locational changes create tremendous challenges for them that often translate into the way that they're able to study. And so providing them with opportunities to study online is critically important. But in addition to that, just because they're studying online doesn't mean that they always have access. For example, we hear from our active military often that if they're deployed in the field, they have to go dark for a particular period of time for their own safety. And so our faculty know that. And that means they're not going to penalize them for missing a test, for example, or a deadline for a paper that's due or something like that. So it's that kind of responsiveness that I think is really, really important. So we have a separate dedicated team that works with our active military and our veterans. And then when the active folks start to transition to veteran status, we know that for many of them, it's difficult. They struggle with that transition. Moving back into civilian life after being in a very structured environment for a long time can be really challenging. And so we understand those challenges and those transitions, and we try to support them along the way.
Yeah, and that's actually something I wanted to lean into a little bit. So as you see people that are just making that transition into being veteran status, having worn an active duty uniform, what are some of those challenges? You mentioned going from a very structured to a little more informal, self-structured sort of way of life. But other than that, are there other challenges that you see? And how does Excelsior help them bridge that gap to give them the requisite skills to successfully navigate going into their educational journey at that point?
Yeah. So the struggles, as you said, I think one is going from a very hierarchical, structured, clearly delineated environment into a rather amorphous environment where understanding how it works isn't simple. And so sometimes the folks who are transitioning feel lost. They can feel overwhelmed. And even if they do a great job at transitioning on the social level and the mental health level, they often struggle getting good jobs because the jobs that they had in the military don't automatically translate directly to jobs in civilian life. And so we have a center called the Colonel Bryant A. Murray Veterans Center. It was established by Breanne Hall, his daughter. And what it does is it really provides education advising. It does career counseling and job-related training, financial aid counseling. That's another issue that many of our student veterans face, health and wellness resources, those kinds of things. So we really do try to provide those resources directly to our veterans and also those who are transitioning, like I said, from active to veteran status.
I appreciate you sharing that. I like that you're helping them out up front, so it doesn't seem like there's an issue or something wrong with them because they're having these struggles. It's a very real transition, to be sure.
It is.
David, we're going to go down memory lane, okay?
Okay.
A lot of your career, prominent NCAA high school programs, right? Marquette, University of Wisconsin, Illinois,
Yes.
Northwestern. My mom went to Northwestern. So,
Oh.
yeah. So we got, see, another thing we have in common. That's the third thing.
You're like 1 degree of separation from everybody.
I know. I am Kevin Bacon.
It's not weird at all.
Yeah.
Carry on.
We might
Carry
be
on.
brothers. I don't know.
We're
could
going to
be.
need a
I'll find
DNA
it.
sample, David. This podcast just got familial.
But you, it's a good word.
It is.
Yeah. That might be the word of the day for you, other than plethora. Yeah.
Grown-up word.
So 33 years, I'm just going to use broad numbers, right? A few decades in this field, right? And made varying degrees of responsibility and leadership roles and all that. But I guess walk us through that. And, you know, I've been in banking 35 years. I guess when I grow up, I'll do something different. But when you've been in the financial services sector for more than a couple of decades. So talk us through your professional career.
You know, in some ways it's pretty traditional, and in other ways it's not. I went typical undergrad, grad school, and planned to be a professor my entire career. And so I started teaching and ended up moving into administration pretty quickly at Northwestern, and just never really looked back. I love to teach and I miss being in the classroom. But I really enjoy the administration and the hands-on ability to impact the future of an institution. And so, as you said, I started out my administrative career at Northwestern, went to the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign, so big state school. Then went to the University of Wisconsin system. Was there for 11 years, and then did a short stint at Marquette University for a couple of years, fairly large private Catholic school in Milwaukee. And then I was recruited to Excelsior about 4 years ago.
David, I'd be remiss not to talk about your own school history too, personally, right? For Connecticut and Iowa State, right? Philosophy.
Iowa State for undergrad, and then Connecticut for graduate school.
So Iowa State, you're leaning for them for this year's Final Four, right?
Well,
Too early?
It's a little early, but you know, it's tough to bet against UConn.
That's true. You know, as much as they struggled with a few losses in a row, and yeah, you can't count them out. It's sort of like Michigan State. You can never count them out too, because they're always going to be there. And Duke, North Carolina, we might be able to count out this year, but it's always the same names, just different years. So thank you for taking us through that. And yeah, if you found your calling and you love what you do, it's awesome that you're able to do that. And now in a truly leadership role as president.
Yeah, that's a great problem to have. I want to talk a little bit, David, about just the process to getting into Excelsior. I'd love to understand sort of what's that admissions process? How do people find out about it? How do they learn about important things like the calendar and when due dates are? And if their interest is piqued and they're curious, how does that work for them?
So it's actually, we try to make it as painless as possible. It starts either on the website, and many of our students, of course, go to our website and peruse our programs and learn more about the institution. And we encourage them to contact one of our advisors. There's no obligation. We're not going to try to sell them anything, but we will try to help them think through the process of coming to school, for many of them coming back to school. And we help them figure out how many of their credits will transfer. And we have a very liberal transfer policy. So most credits transfer for students who come to Excelsior. And we also honor military credit. So we transfer much of the military credit towards students' degree programs, which again is a bit unusual in higher education. We're certainly not the only school that does it, but there aren't many that do it. And so we try to ease that process, talk them through what they need to do, help them figure out their schedules. Many of them are trying to juggle family responsibilities, maybe work responsibilities all at the same time. So we try to help them figure out some time management skills and to make sure that it all works well for them.
I had a follow-up question on how the translation of military experience works for credits at the university. My husband benefited from that when he exited the service. And as I recall, and I don't know if this is how it works with you, he would get credit for certain things related to his MOS because of leadership positions he was naturally put in over the course of his 20 years of service. But then also, I feel like he might have gotten credit for different courses he attended as part of his military career. So he might have went to a leadership course or resiliency training.
It's like one-off stuff.
And
right?
they might have come in as electives. But
Yeah.
can you talk about that a little bit more in detail? How you help them translate? Is there a resource online they can go and understand that like in a self-service way, or is it better for them to reach out to an advisor and talk through that?
Yeah, it's probably, it would be frustrating for them to try to figure it out on their own. The best thing to do is just speak with an advisor, because our advisors work not just with the military students directly, but there are also other organizations and services that do this. So the American Council on Education, for example, has some fairly standard translation programs for this. But a lot of times it's a matter of asking the members of the military what it is that they actually did in their jobs, and then distilling from that what skills they have towards academic degrees.
Okay. That makes sense. I know it was great for Stephen. He benefited from several credit hours getting picked up. Since it's online, is there I'll say a traditional calendar, like there's a fall, a spring, and a summer? Or is it more of a rolling every 12 week, every 16 week? I know some schools that I've run across do it that way. So you really have more opportunities each year to kind of jump in and start. How does Excelsior do that?
Yep, it's a great question. We have 6 8-week terms. And so our terms do go year round with typically a week break between them. And so students don't have to wait an entire semester to start. Or if they need to take a break, they don't have to stop out for an entire semester. They can take a break for 8 weeks and then come back and continue their studies. And we have a lot of students who do that, right? Because life happens. And so they need to take a break, and then we welcome them back and they keep going.
Yeah, no, that's great. Or if they knew they were going to be on a training assignment or something like that, and it would be too much to do. Yeah, that's great. That's good. Nice and flexible. Hey everyone, if you're looking for a little extra financial flexibility to take the family on a vacation, tackle that home renovation, or just get through the ups and downs of military life, we've got some great news for our military listeners.
Absolutely. Armed Forces Bank offers access loans that are perfect for handling life's unexpected expenses, consolidating debt, or even making that big purchase you've been thinking about. And with our fast approval process, you can get the funds you need quickly and easily without all the hassle.
At Armed Forces Bank, about 75% of our team is affiliated with the military, so we understand your unique needs. We've been supporting military families for over 100 years, and we're here to help you take control of your finances.
Whether you're active duty, a veteran, or a reservist, we're committed to offering you flexible terms and competitive rates, making sure you get a loan that fits your life.
So if you're ready to take that next step, head over to afbank.com or visit a branch near you. Armed Forces Bank, serving those who serve.
Member FDIC, subject to credit approval. Origination fee applies. Direct deposit relationship required. Loan terms are based on loan amount. We're going to shift now to the National Cybersecurity Institute. Okay,
Yeah,
David,
yeah.
I think that seems to be front and center in a lot of industries these days, especially financial services and banking in general. That's why we stood up a financial intelligence unit here at the bank. We also work with the Army on the Training with Industry program, where those students seem to be enthralled with cyber threats and different things that are going on around the globe. And it's an important agenda item as they pursue careers in that field or look to, just get access to more information to make them a better branch of service or just a better force around the globe for that. So talk about what happens at that institute and how long has that been in place?
So we established the Cybersecurity Institute in 2019, and it really serves as the hub for Excelsior's cybersecurity initiatives, offering education, research, and industry collaboration. And that industry collaboration for us is very important because it ensures that our programs remain vibrant and relevant. As we all know, cybersecurity requirements and cybersecurity education changes rapidly. Yeah, and so we want to make sure that we're providing really up-to-date information to our students so that when they go into the workforce, they are top-notch employees in cyber firms and other industries. So the cybersecurity program, the Institute, we engage with students, faculty, industry partners, government agencies. We're all working together to understand the current state of cybersecurity and then translating that information to our students so that they can come back and really work and succeed in the industry. The Department of Defense Cybersecurity Scholarship Program is something that we help facilitate for students so that we can help students figure out how to pay for their education. We work with training and industry programs to make sure that our students are well prepared for the job market. And we provide thought leadership through our faculty and some of our senior staff in cybersecurity.
Covering all facets.
Yes.
Thought leadership. I love those two words.
Tom fancies himself a thought leader.
Right.
You know.
I don't know how you officially get that title, but I'll just do it.
You could just self-proclaim.
Hashtag thought leader.
You can just say it.
I just start calling yourself one and see if it catches on.
Let's not edit this part of it because now it's official since David was the witness to that.
Yes. Although you still self-proclaimed it. David didn't anoint you.
Jodi, there you go again.
Oh, gosh.
There are many different ways that individuals and companies can give to Excelsior University. So you want to talk a little bit about that, David?
Sure. So we have various philanthropic engagements, whether it's individuals who might want to support the university for various reasons. We have obviously our alumni who support us, and we have partnerships with industries. And our industries range from military contractors to healthcare industries and everything in between. So we have various kinds of relationships with industry partners, whether it's around grants, whether it's around direct gifts. In some cases, the gifts are given for specific purposes, for example, for scholarships or some kind of thing. So there are plenty of ways that individuals and organizations can support the university if they'd like to.
www.excelsior.edu.
Yep.
All the information you ever want to know about Excelsior. And that you have a great website, great content, great look and feel, great navigation. So kudos to your development team on the website.
Thank you. Thank you.
On the website, I noticed there was a section about military and veteran partners, and that might be the folks that you're talking about right now and describing. Is there more to it than that? If there's a company or an organization that seems like their interests are aligned with you, how do they go about reaching out and learning more about the variety of ways that could materialize? How would you encourage them to proceed there?
So great question. We have a unit called Strategic Partnerships and Alliances, and the acronym is SPA, S-P-A, but it stands for Strategic Partnerships and Alliances. And this group is dedicated to working with industry partners, and that includes military bases. For example, we have a very close relationship with the Sergeants Majors Academy. So it really depends on what the partnership is, but that group would be the group that an organization would contact. We'd send someone to connect with them. We provide discounts to partners if they want to build a partnership and send us a volume of students. So we're pretty flexible in those areas. And we can also work with them if it's a large employer to do evaluations of the kind of work that they do to see if any of it will translate into academic credit right away.
That's interesting.
And to piggyback on that, are there veteran tuition discounts that you offer?
It depends what you mean. So, for example, we honor for active military, we honor the tuition reimbursement rate. So, which is more than a 50% discount for Excelsior tuition, because the military tuition rate hasn't been increased in over 20 years.
Oh, wow.
So we do that, whereas most schools unfortunately don't. For veterans, if the veterans are on the GI Bill and they're able to get their tuition that way, that certainly works. As we know, some veterans will use their tuition benefits for their spouses or their kids, and then they might be out of money for themselves. So we work with them to help them access financial aid resources, whether it's Pell or other forms of financial aid. And so we certainly work with our students to help help them pay for their education in whatever way works.
Good to know. Thank you for that answer.
Where would you like to go next?
I thought maybe we'd talk about what his day is like.
I'm sure it's very busy, except for right now where he's at.
I'm going to say the first thing, when he wakes up every day, he says, I can't wait to see the Cubs start their next season because we're going to win the World Series like we did in 2016.
Is that how you start your day, David?
Yes, that is absolutely noble.
See, that's your
And
ringtone for the Cubs winning the
angels
World
singing
Series.
and everything, and then horns blared. That's a pretty amazing way to start the day. Yeah, that's how Tom's day starts.
Right.
Just to be honest.
And it ends that way too.
Yeah. No. What does a typical day look like for you? I mean, it sounds like you're going to be in a lot of different places doing a lot of different things, but I'd be curious kind of what that looks like. I bet no day's the same as a general rule.
So, it's interesting because one thing that's fun about the job that I have is that it's very seldom that you have 2 days that are the same. And so we do start our workday every day with a meeting of the cabinet, the most senior members of the Excelsior University team. And we meet every day for half an hour in the morning just to touch base, make sure that everybody is in the know about stuff that's happening and make sure that we're aligned for the rest of the day. And if there are any issues that we need to address, that they get addressed. And then obviously various meetings. We have an active board of trustees, so I work with them closely. Community partnerships, working with other universities. That is something that I spend a lot of my time doing because we think that the future of higher education is really going to revolve around partnerships. And so we work with a number of other universities to help create an ecosystem for students. So if students want to start at one school and finish in another, or they might want to take some classes at another institution, we want to make sure that they don't get penalized for doing that. So that's a lot of the work that I do. And then, there's the everyday routine work that all of us do.
Oh yeah. The keeping the lights on stuff, right?
Yep.
Yeah. No, I love that your day starts with, we call them huddles here, but we
Yeah.
try to do that in all of our teams where you get your immediate folks together and talk about the day. And like you said, if there's anything on fire, let's talk about it, make sure we have a plan,
Yeah. Put some goals out there and
alignment, all the good things.
Yep.
I'm going to circle back too, because you glossed over this a little bit, David, about the Lieutenant Colonel Brian A. Murray Veteran Center, and a little bit more history around either the individual or what about the namesake, or what about specifically is the center designed to deliver?
So the center was started by the colonel's daughter, and really it's intended to provide services to veterans, and anything from education advising and supporting them through their education, career counseling so that they know how to transition to the job and job-related training. As I mentioned before, financial aid counseling, health and wellness resources. And the center's open to all members of the military, not just Excelsior students.
Okay. Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah. So we really do mean when we support our service members that we do that pretty selflessly.
Going to the Excelsior website, you'll see a lot of in the news stuff, especially recent stuff too, about your university, David, partnering with Caring Gene to strengthen healthcare workforce in upstate New York.
Yep.
The Hudson Valley Community College and the expansion of that partnership, and even the scholarship fund in memory of Lieutenant General Arthur Gregg. I mean, there's a lot of stuff, again, back to your website, about people can find out more about your reputation, about your brand, and about the value proposition that you have. So I would encourage people to go to www.excelsior.edu. I also want to, I'm going to read a couple more. I'm going to read some testimonials about what people say about Excelsior too. Okay. Glowing comments about Excelsior. Great. This is over the last probably 10 or 12 years, but there's 4 of them. Great school, especially for veterans. I would recommend to anyone. This place is perfect for adults looking to finish their degree. They give the maximum when it comes to transfer credits. If you have gone to a couple of different colleges, this is the school for you. Next one was the college was excellent. Military life and parenting are time consuming. The school is flexible, allowing you to complete assignments with access to support and tools while working. 2 more for you, David. Love this school. They took a ton of my military certifications and previous college experience. Classes were challenging, fair, and beneficial. And then the final one was having an institution that works with military families and understands the unique struggles that we face has been extremely helpful. They did a great job transferring my credits to get me the most credit for my past work towards my current degree. So plethora of a lot of good, positive reviews, positive praise. And I think the pliability in this world and the sense of being a little bit more accommodating is what people want from higher education. And it's a very competitive landscape, just like financial services is for me and Jodi. There are certainly plenty of opportunities out there, and you've got to showcase all the great things you do, especially serving military families. So thank you for your service through the school.
You bet.
I think we're coming to the end,
We are.
unless David has some breaking news.
Are you being set up, David?
I don't think so.
I thought I got him. All right.
I know he's sitting there thinking, what am I supposed to have as a
Because
breaking
he might
news?
have, I mean, he's hanging out. He's probably on the phone all day concocting deals, right?
And I'm sure you'd be the first person he'd share it with.
So before it hits your website, I want to know if you wanted to share it. No, there's no breaking news.
Well, actually, so this isn't breaking news,
See?
but it might be an interesting news for you, Gal. So you mentioned the Arthur J. Gregg Scholarship. So Art Gregg was an amazing man. And I had the pleasure to get to know him a little bit. He died, unfortunately, about a year and a half ago. And he was the first chair of our trustees when Excelsior University, when Regents College, which was our previous name, transitioned to Excelsior University. He was the first 3-star general who was an African American in the United States. And one of the recent renamings of the military installations was named after him. And we're really proud to call him an Excelsior member of our community because he really did epitomize the dignity of the institution, the connection to the military, and the focus on the needs of active and veteran personnel. So we will miss him. He was really an amazing man.
Yes. Well, it took your leadership to launch that scholarship fund in his name. So I'm sure anybody connected with him during the military career or family today are honored to have that connection and have a fund in his name.
So it has been our great pleasure to have you today. I do want to give you an opportunity. If there's anything else we haven't thought to ask you, because we just might not know about the university, is there anything you'd want to add to the conversation before we ask you to humor us and stay on for just a second while we play our military minute game?
I don't think so. You guys have been terrific, and I really appreciate the conversation. Thank you.
Wonderful. So
Did you say humor?
humor,
Yeah.
get it? Humor while we play military minute, because sometimes it's funny and
Well,
fun.
because David's listened to every one of our episodes, so
That's
he
not,
knows.
I don't think that's actually what he said.
Oh, I thought, well, we'll go back and
He's
listen to that.
listened to
Yeah.
some episodes. Anyway, so bear with us for just a moment. We would like to play. We haven't done this in a long time.
I've been counting.
It's been a
the number
plethora of days.
It's been
Been a plethora of
73
days,
days,
yeah.
12 hours and 15 minutes and 6 seconds
I know.
since we last played the military minute.
I know. Well, we're about to do it again. So reset your calendar and your clock.
Dale, I made that up.
So funny, we talked about humor. The last question we had in our military minute trivia game was about comedy.
And he can answer this one.
You can, if you know this, you can totally answer. And if you don't know it, you can absolutely guess. And we will judge you later when you're not here. So according to Rolling Stone, who is the best stand-up comedian of all time?
I have no idea.
And we had a comedian guest on the last time, which is why this is semi-relevant. Yeah.
So not even a guess.
I don't know if I could come up with a stand-up comedian off the top of my head. It's kind of a
like Robin Williams, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, or Lenny Bruce or somebody like that.
Yeah, he made the top 50.
Okay, we're going to have to judge you later, David. I'm sorry. It was Richard Pryor.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
yes. Yeah. And when you hear that one, it's like, oh, well, yeah, that makes sense.
But that's according to one source, because if I did it, I'd probably say me.
Well,
right?
You're not Rolling Stone. So if you were in our audience, though, and you answered Richard Pryor on our last post, and that means 1, you are a very smart cookie, and 2, watch for us to post your name as the lucky recipient of $50 for yourself and $50 for a charity of your choice. And then fast forward to this episode's Military Minute. You cannot answer this one, David, because I would bet at least $1 that you know the
I think
answer.
it's a two-parter, isn't it?
It's a two-part question. So audience, get your pencils out and be ready to write this down. But I bet David knows this. So it's all about Excelsior University. So you should act like you know it, even if you even if you don't. In what year did Excelsior College change to Excelsior University? Part 1. And part 2 is, what does Excelsior mean in Latin? So two-parter. What year did Excelsior College change to Excelsior University? And what does Excelsior mean in Latin?
And I see David shaking his head that he knows the answers to both.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I actually do, which I'm happy to say.
Yes. And even if you didn't, yes is the right answer. So if you're in our audience, either find David's phone number and call him and ask him for the answers, or re-listen to our episode, or consult your friend Google. And when this podcast drops, give us your best answers to both of those. And if you are correct, you too could be entered to win $50 for yourself and $50 for a charity of your choice.
David, thank you very much again for taking time out of your day to educate us and the audience on the value proposition of Excelsior. I applaud you.
Absolutely.
Congrats on your career. Congrats on your success. And if you enjoyed today's episode, go out to afbank.com and subscribe to the show. Also, make sure to rate us, leave us a comment on your favorite podcast platform like Apple Podcast or Spotify. And David, you can find us on YouTube. Your heart desires.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
It has been a treat to spend some time with you today. Thank you so much.
You too. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Copyright Armed Forces Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender. All non-Armed Forces Bank owned apps, websites, company names, and product names are trademarks or registered trademarks of their respective owners. Their mention does not imply any affiliation with or endorsement by Armed Forces Bank of them or their products and services. They are merely used as examples of the many available apps, companies, and websites that offer similar services. Before using any app or website, you should carefully review the terms of use, data collection, and privacy policy. Apps may have an initial cost or in-application purchase features. This information is general in nature and is not intended to be legal, tax, or financial advice. Although Armed Forces Bank believes this information to be accurate, it cannot ensure that it could change. Statements